Good morning and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. It's just after 9. We're here to get you all the market opening action. Let's take a look at what's hot in the corporate and financial world this morning. Donald Trump opens yet another front in his global trade wars, announces 25% tariffs against all countries engaging in trade with Iran. India is again in focus with $1.6 billion of trade in 24-25. Spotlight on rice exporters, pharma, chemicals, and companies most involved in Iran. Trump also warns that an adverse Supreme Court order on tariffs would create a complete mess. India and the US to resume trade talks today, even as the Trump administration blows hot and cold on its ties with India. Newly appointed US Ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, extends an olive branch, extends an invitation for India to join an exclusive club for critical minerals, and claims India-US ties are the most consequential global partnership of the century. US markets again close at record highs, led by consumer staples and tech shares. Pushback against the criminal subpoena for US Fed Chair Jerome Powell keeps markets assured, but gold and silver demand persists amid uncertainty. Asian markets up today, with Tokyo's Nikkei skyrocketing by more than 3%. Google Gemini to power Apple's revamped Siri coming later this year. Both companies signed multi-year artificial intelligence alliance. The deal unlocks a massive market of more than 2 billion active devices for Google. The deal also boosts Alphabet and takes its market capitalization across the $4 trillion mark. Results season in full swing. TCS posts Q3 earnings in line, announces a 57 rupee dividend. HCL Tech beats estimates with 6% Q1Q revenue growth, raises FY26 guidance. ICICI Lombard, ICICI Prudential and Tata Elxsi to report results today. Big breaking news for you on your screen, coming in from news agency Informist. Contradictory signals on the India-US trade talks. Informist reports from sources that no talks are scheduled this week and no communication has been received from Washington. This is even as the US Ambassador Sergio Gore has claimed a bilateral trade call will be held today. So conflicting signals coming in there. That was the commentary coming in from the ambassador. However, the news agency Informist reporting that as of now, there doesn't seem to be any communication from Washington. Absolutely no talks are scheduled this week. And this is really what they're saying, despite the fact that the ambassador said a bilateral trade call would be held today. Remember, yesterday, markets actually moved up and saw a slight spike on the news that possibly the trade talks are continuing there, but agencies reporting that there is no call scheduled and no communication from Washington. That's a big deal for markets that have been waiting for some cue, some trigger in order to move ahead. And of course, Trump's other activities keep geopolitical tensions high in the background as well. That's the latest on the US trade deal. Let's also go across to Shailendra Bhatnagar and Dharmesh Khan joining us this morning to get a sense of how markets are reading some of these signals. Gentlemen, good morning. Dharmesh, we're just a couple of minutes to go to opening, so I just want to talk to you about this because Trump's trade deal, no trade deal, and other geopolitical actions are constantly keeping markets on edge. We haven't seen any movement since the start of the year.
Yeah, good morning, Ava. I mean, definitely that is keeping the market rich, and primarily because I think the FII selling will stop only when this deal happens. As long as the deal is not there or it's, tentative kind of environment, FIIs will keep on taking profits where they are having some, and they would be diluting Indian equities. And that's the problem for the Indian market as of now, to have a steady and sustainable upside rise. So I think it should be done in some point of time. And unless it is done, we will have to see this, push and backs. And now this Iran thing is new offering on the table, which will lead to again volatility, and it would be more detrimental to India because agri-focused themes will be hardly hit if 25% tariff comes through on the Iran. So there is already a structural problem out there. Payouts, which has already been shipped to Iran, is not coming from there because of the problem there. And all the rice companies are facing the hit. So I think we have to bite the bullet and look for opportunities where the earnings growth has been good. SCL Tech, a case in point, I think is likely to react positively on a better set of earnings today.
Okay. So we'll come back and talk about Iran in just a moment, but that's really setting the macro environment for you and the global kind of factors at play currently. We are seeing an uptick on the Nifty, but post, of course, the market's digesting some of the news on the trade deal. We'll wait and see how things actually shape up on opening. Shell, with the fact that we are seeing Donald Trump continuing to wreak havoc. Of course, he's also tweeted talking about the fact that if we do see the Supreme Court take action on tariffs, it would be a right mess globally. His tweet is quite descriptive on that, and on Iran, of course, putting those tariffs in effect. Indian exporters now facing yet another challenge with the US announcing a 25% additional tariff on all countries doing business with Iran. In all of these moves, Shell, it's leaving FPIs very nervous and pulling out money very quickly from emerging markets.
Well, Abha, these things are already known, and they really don't matter because they are priced in. What matters is what will rise today and which gives a buy signal. So keep an eye out on PSU banks, the entire PSU basket, and of course strength coming back in IT. That is all that matters. The rest is noise.
All right. Well, the market's opening there. Let's take a look at the opening ticks right now. It looks like it's steady uptick coming in. I wonder how much IT has to do with this as well. Let's pull up HCL, TCS. Remember, those earnings have surprised on the upside. So we are seeing some amount of a positive uptick that's likely to come in on tech this morning. There you have it. HCL Tech about 1% higher coming in there for you. And let's pull up some of the other IT majors as well, because clearly that's what's going to drive the market. HCL net profit was at 4,076 crores versus 4,591 crores coming in. And TCS also was looking pretty good, but HCL is the one that's rising up about 1% on opening trade on the back of those earnings today. So tech in focus. We'll also pull up some of the other IT majors to see if we're seeing a sentiment impact across the board when it comes to IT this morning. TCS a little quiet, but let's pull up some of the others as well. Infy up over 1% right now, so 1.38% on an Infy, and this is clearly what's keeping the index looking good today, up about 60-70 points on the Nifty so far. Banks also seeing some amount of traction. Let's pull up some of those financials and see where the move's coming from. So Tech Mahindra, Infy, HCL definitely contributing, and we've got the Nifty Bank also up about 0.5% right now. So let's take a look at what some of the movers are across some of the banking pack. Both the private and PSU names actually looking good this morning. Shell, what are you picking up on your screens?
Well, Abha, I'm just looking at the strength in the market. Remember, today it's also the weekly expiry of the main index, which is the Nifty. So 251 points higher on the bank Nifty, that's strength. The Nifty now above 75 points. Look at the strength in the market, 1935 shares in the green versus 450 in the red. So it's a very easy 7:2. All 19 indices are in the green. The advanced decline in small caps are very good. Just keep an eye out on the PSU banking basket. Keep an eye out on beaten down counters like Eternal, and of course you have strength which is coming into the metals pack. Hind Copper up 1%. You have BSE doing pretty well, 2% higher. And of course, you have strength coming into Hindustan Zinc. So that's what I'm watching.
I mean, Eternal's up 3% today. Let's pull up Eternal for you. It's zooming 4%. Zomato has been renamed as Eternal, as you know. It's up about 4% right now, 297. I want to pull up HDFC Bank as well, because that's looking particularly strong this morning. So let's pull up HDFC Bank. Interestingly, an ONGC is also up about 1% or so. We've got Eicher up about 1%. Hindalco is looking good. So these are some of the other heavyweights that are contributing to the uptick on the index this morning. HDFC Bank looking strong, 0.7% higher right now. We've got Eternal moving. We've got Eicher moving today. So some of these names are looking good. Biocon as well. And remember, the board has approved a QIP floor price coming in at 387.74 rupees per share. That's a positive for Biocon. The stock is up about 1% there as well. And just while we're digesting some of these names, TCS has actually slipped into the red. I want to just bring that one up for you. So market seems to be digesting those numbers, and I just want to bring up TCS stock for you right now. And there you have it, just about slipping into the red. They did post a slight fall in profit on a one-time factor of labor codes, but otherwise the numbers have been healthy. Perhaps the market's just digesting this. Let's just go across with Dharmesh on some of those IT earnings. Dharmesh, what did you make of TCS and HCL Tech and what they reported?
See, there are two sides to it. One is the reported numbers, which was largely in line with what the expectation was, and the other is what is the growth outlook and how to value the company. So the problem is on the growth outlook and the valuation of the company. See, EBIT margin was around 8%, barring the one-off adjustment which was there, and 10-15 basis point is what the management is saying. Sequentially, the impact would be of the increased labor cost which they have to pay. So going by that, if you are high single digit kind of a profitability growth, and this is no different from what they have been doing for last 3-4 years. So then again, why you would value a company at 15 times or 20 times, earnings multiple with no clear commentary from the management coming as to what will drive the growth. They are citing AI. But if AI is growing, but the other business is going down, every software offering which you have on the table will have AI inbuilt. That is the nature of the business. Because Accenture actually, did away with this AI reporting thing, which was the right thing to do. So to my mind, I think it's a stable kind of the maintenance of the profit would be a challenge for these companies going forward, and that's the reason why we are seeing some, correction or maybe zone-wise, sideways kind of a consolidation happening in TCS. SCL Tech, on the other hand, did report a better set of numbers compared to its counterparts. The only, my takeaway was that they lowered the upper end of the guidance to 4.5%, which was earlier 5. And the margin also, in spite of reporting a better set of margins this time around, they have still maintained 17 to 18% kind of a margin. So the environment is not very clear. Currency tailwind did play out in a big way as far as the Indian INR reported earnings are concerned, and that going forward, how much that is going to help is also will be in the question mark. So net, you can have a trade play out for 4-5%, 2 days, 3 days, you can have a pop-up playing out there, but that is the end of it. So for traders, it's a good opportunity. They can try their hand out. But for investors looking for long-term gains, I think it's still not the right time to go, deep dive into the large cap IT stocks. Let's wait and see Infosys earnings, then a structural call can be taken out there.
Okay, so still awaiting Infi at this point of time. All right, let's take a look at what's happening with Iran. We were talking about how exporters are going to face yet another challenge on those tariffs. And in a social media post earlier today, the President Donald Trump announced these tariffs, emphasizing that they're effective immediately. No further details, but analysts are expecting a direct hit now on Iran's largest trading partners. And of course, this includes India, along with China and Turkey. And let's take a look at what this means. India's trade with Iran has been dipping now the past few years because of global sanctions on the Ayatollah regime. But last year, India did total trade of nearly $1.8 billion with Iran. The main export here was Basmati rice, with India accounting for more than 80% of Iran's rice imports. Iran absorbs more than 12% of India's total Basmati exports. And other exports include oil, tea, spices, meat, dairy products, and pharma products. Oil meals is really what they take from here. Now, the big exporters, and it's likely to be reflected in their stock price today, include KRBL, LT Food, Adani Group, GRM Overseas, and Sarveshwar Foods. Let's pull up the stock price reaction and just see how some of these names are doing. All eyes will continue to be on some of these stocks as well to just see what the impact is of Trump's tariff imposition now on countries trading with Iran. So that's the latest coming in on the global trade wars. Currently, not too much of a knock. KRBL is steady, up about 0.3% right now, and we'll bring up some of those other names as well. But keeping an eye on all the action on that front. Shell, what else are you tracking on opening?
Well, Abha, the entire PSU banking basket, I had spoken about it. Remember all this noise that the market faces in terms of what the tariffs will do, and one country fighting with the other is all just noise. We just have to focus where money is moving in, and at this point of time, just look at the way how Canara Bank is moving, 151.1, PNB almost 124, State Bank of India taking it above 1025, and you have similar moves coming into the metals basket. So the point is to make money rather than get troubled by what Mr. Trump is doing. He'll continue to be what he is, and we need to focus on what we can do. We can't do anything on tariffs, can we? but we can at least focus on strong stocks.
All right, some other earnings reactions coming in. GTPL Hathway on earnings also is up about 7-8% today. We'll pull that one up for you. We've got a few other stocks in the broader markets that are seeing some amount of action. We've got KPI Green moving. We've got Apollo Tyres moving. So some of these names, JTL Industries, that's on a contract win. So JTL is also looking good right now. So just bringing up some of these movers in the broader market at this point of time. Let's also take a look at what's really expected from the budget, and we're going to continue to bring you a whole host of news and expectations and stories ahead of the budget as well. According to sources, the coal ministry is proposing a massive 35,000 crores for coal gasification, quadrupling the existing corpus. This financial boost is said to benefit big giants like Coal India, BHEL, GAIL and others. Let's go across to Aishwarya Patil on this. Aishwarya, talk us through the story. What are sources telling you and what can we expect from the budget?
That's right, Abha. In the run-up to Financial Budget 2026, the Coal Ministry has proposed an incentive package, which is a massive uptick from the previous allocation that was done for specifically coal gasification. A 35,000 crore or so could be considered. Earlier, of course, the incentive package was about 8,500 crore that was announced in 2024. This is, of course, a quadrupling of this particular gasification incentive given to the coal sector. Now, PSU and private players both will gain equally as far as this viability gap funding is concerned. Of course, as we refer to this funding, it is that transition to clean coal that requires extra capital expenditure as well for these companies. So good news coming in there for some of these coal players. Now, low carbon transition gasification offers a cleaner alternative to traditional coal combustion. As you mentioned rightly, BHEL, GAIL, NLC, NTPC sale will be some of the major beneficiaries. This, of course, as an economic impact, it is estimated that a reduction of about $15 billion in annual imports could benefit the country as well. And India does have an objective to meet its 100 million ton gasification target by 2030. So all in all, we'll see what happens as the cabinet will consider clearing this budget incentive package for the coal sector. Back to you.
All right, great. Aishwarya, thanks for taking us through all the details on that. Let's also take you to some breaking news. It seems that India is close to an agreement with G7 nations over sharing research on critical materials and their development. The announcement was made by Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw, who's currently in Washington D.C. to attend a G7 meeting on critical minerals, as we had mentioned. The talk centered around ensuring that the critical mineral supply chain involved funding new projects, recycling, tech and research sharing. The talks come even as the US has announced that India will soon be invited to join the Pax Silica. That's an exclusive club of nations dealing with critical minerals. So very important news coming in from Ashwini Vaishnaw's visit. He's currently in Washington, D.C. for the G7 meet. And remember that they're now looking at a deal with India, talking about sharing research on critical materials and their development. This announcement coming in from the minister himself. The talks that he was there for, centering around ensuring that the critical mineral supply chain involved funding new projects, recycling, tech, research sharing. And of course, remember, the US has announced that India will soon be invited to join the Pax Silica. That's an exclusive club of nations dealing with critical minerals. So lots of buzz and excitement there. And remember, China was not invited for this meet. Let's also listen in.
There were discussions around funding new projects. There were discussions around technology sharing between different countries. There were very important discussions about recycling, because that's a good way of harnessing the minerals out of the waste products. There were discussions and agreements around sharing research work among different countries. So it was a very positive meeting in which the thought process was to improve the quality and availability of critical minerals.
Okay, Dharmesh, must get a view from you on this, given all of the traction that we've anyway seen on the metal counters in light with global prices as well as investment demand. Now we've got a critical mineral agreement coming in as well. Which are the pockets that you see moving on the back of this or moving further, and where do you see good value?
Yeah, well, we definitely need this kind of an agreement because we need both critical mineral as well as the technology to develop these minerals. So the pocket for India, which will benefit most, would be the recyclers, and there I think the two companies are out there. One is Gravita India and Gen Resources. So these two companies are already into recycling phase of lead, copper and aluminium, with critical mineral coming into play. And if technology transfer is given to us, so they would be the immediate beneficiaries. Metals as a whole is, doing very well. So that traction is likely to continue. And I mean, to our mind, the topics out there are like Hindalco, Vedanta, and JSW Steel. Just to put a point in place for budget this time around, it will be all about PLIs and incentives. So keep an eye on the sectors where ever there is an opportunity for a production-linked incentive scheme of PLIs. That would be the mantra for all the flavor of the budget this time around.
All right, good point there. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Dharmesh. And do stay tuned. We'll be back at 3 p.m. with all the action at market closing. Right now, the Nifty has slipped into the red as anticipated in light of all the global changing dynamics and uncertainty on the trade deal. IT somewhat holding out, but markets still awaiting for Infi numbers as well to really form an opinion on what's happening there. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back shortly.